Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Melchizedek Chronicles. I am your host, Kenny Williamson. It is good to see you today. Make sure everything's set up here, right? It sounds like it. Welcome back to the show. Today, we're going to talk just a little bit about some climate change and what I like to call the climate change hoax or scam. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. If you're watching this on a video, you may have noticed that I did switch cameras. There's a different camera angle going on here, so it looks a little different, but it's same office, same place, same person, just a different camera. Okay, let's see here. So as a couple of things as a reminder, I'm going at the end of the month to a thing called TruTherCon 2025 in Dallas, Texas, and it's going to be pretty interesting, I think. It's got a lot of like-minded individuals going to be there. On my website, it's flatbro.com and at truthseekersministry.org. There is a link to that where you can click on it and see about it for yourself if you wanted to attend. So that's on there. Other than that, I think that's all that's new that I needed to talk about. Let's see here. So today I was going to talk a little bit about climate change, and the reason for that is I found some new information that's come out. Over there in the United Kingdom, they're passing some new laws and getting some stuff done to where you can only take 2 airplane rides a year. Because they're saying that if you do any more than that, it creates too much carbon. Okay, and so you have to watch your carbon footprint, as they call it, which of course is absolutely, ludicrous. Only a lunatic would come up with something like that. But they've been doing this for a long time. And what's funny is if somebody hears about this today, like a young person, they're going to be like, oh man, climate change. Oh my goodness, the world's going to end, because that's what they keep saying. They say that over and over and over. And so that's what I was going to do, is show you some of the stuff they have said over the past, few decades. Okay. And this is not a new thing. Okay. This is a money grabbing tax deal to grab your land, to force you to do something you don't want to do, while these same people that are talking about this, they're doing it. Okay. And one of the big names, if you've never heard the guy that's in this, is named Al Gore. Okay. He's been into this climate hoax for many, many years. In fact, I watched a video where he was saying, I've been into this for 30 years. How dare somebody try to say I'm cheating people? At the same time, he's collecting billions. And so what he does is he says, well, I'm not collecting them for myself. He goes, I invested in this climate change thing, see? So then he starts what you call a foundation, a non-profit foundation, right? Like the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, and Obama has a foundation, the Clinton Foundation. What they do is they put millions or billions of dollars into that, and they claim, well, it's not going to me, it's going to the nonprofit. And then they take the money out or spend it on whatever they want. So then they just say, well, I don't own a jet. The nonprofit owns a jet. Well, I don't own 3 Lamborghinis. This nonprofit owns the 3 Lamborghinis, see? So they still get to spend the money on whatever they want. Just like with the Clinton ones, here a while back, well, my daughter, needed a $3 or $10 million wedding. So the nonprofit, paid for all that. So that's how they get by. It's just money laundering is all it is. And all these guys that are into this, they're getting big paychecks. Okay. So it's a scam. It's a hoax. If you listen to Trump talks about it being a hoax. But people like me have known it's been a hoax for many, many years. And this is some of the reasons why. I've got some notes on this here. So in case you're too young to remember, I'm going to read these off to you. Okay. In the 1960s, okay, in the 60s, they came out and they said that, we would be out of oil within 10 years. And so they put a big oil scare into everybody, and, and then they made everybody downsize the cars to these really small cars. That's why a lot of cars, in the 70s are these little bitty tiny cars. So they made everybody get rid of them, and then they wouldn't sell you any gas. They created a fake gas shortage from a fake oil shortage, and then raised the prices up and then taxed everybody. And, of course, 10 years comes and goes, and, of course, there's no shortage of oil. Now, according to our so-called pseudoscientists, they claim that oil is like in a reservoir that was created by dinosaurs or whatever, okay, from millions of years ago. I don't believe that. I believe that oil is in the ground, God put it there, and it's a renewable resource. It never runs out, and it never has. So it just keeps on coming out. But, people back in the day who were invested in oil, they labeled it a fossil fuel. So claiming it was made from fossils and claiming they can run out, that way they can jack the price way up. Okay? It's kind of like saying we're going to run out of air, and so we need to tax it. Don't breathe. Hold your breath. That type of deal. Okay. So in the 60s, no more oil within 10 years. Okay? And new taxes, a whole bunch of new taxes that we're going to implement stuff to save the oil. Okay, well, as you know, the oil's still pumping out of the ground just like it used to. Nothing's ever changed. Okay? But let's roll along in 10 years. Nothing ever happened. So these clowns like, these climate clowns, they change it. And they say, well, let's see, that didn't work, so let's do it again. For the next group of people that are coming up, they'll forget about what happened 10 years ago, so let's do it again. So then they say, well, in 1970, it was impeding ice age. So in the 70s, they said, look, within 10 years, we are going to have another ice age that's going to cover this earth. So it's an ice age coming, and there's nothing we can do to stop it because of all the carbon, because all the cars, because all the people, because, they want to get rid of people. They want to get rid of people more than they do anything. Okay, because guess what people are? Carbon. Okay, and their whole idea is to get rid of carbon. So they need to get rid of you. You're carbon. Okay, so there's going to be an ice age within 10 years. So they had all these people scared. There's going to be an ice age. There's going to be an ice age because supposedly, they went up there and there was more ice. And an ice age is coming. All fake, all pseudoscience. Of course, there's no proof to any of this, of course, because it's fake. It's a hoax. So guess what? 10 years rolls by, nothing happens. There is no ice age. Nothing changes. The water levels don't change. The ocean doesn't change. Nothing changes. Okay, but your taxes. Now, they taxed a bunch of people. They increased the tax, so we've got to fight this. So we've got to raise your taxes. We've got to do this. We've got to do that. We've got to do this. Nothing ever happened. So they're like, oh boy, what now? Well, here come the 80s. It's like, well, we got to come up with something else. It's been 10 years, and there's no ice age. So, and I remember this one here. In the 80s, they came out with something called acid rain. And I remember going to school, and they would hand out pamphlets at school and little magazines that showed a picture of the globe Earth with rain coming down and it melting into outer space. And it said acid rain. And they were telling us back then that this acid rain destroys your cars, destroys the paint, destroys all crops. This acid rain is destroying all the crops, and it's going to destroy everything. It's going to melt everything. It's acid. It's going to pollute all the water because all these toxins are up in the air, and it's raining back down acid. And they're like, you better be careful going outside. You literally could get burned up from acid rain. They had people panicking. Okay, not me, but other people. Well, I mean, at that time, I was probably playing in a mud puddle somewhere. I could care less about acid rain. But acid rain. And, years later, come to find out, the government's the one putting the toxins in the air. It's not even coming from your tailpipe. It's coming from jet airplanes spraying it everywhere, called chemtrails. So they're actually the ones spraying stuff, not anything that we could do. So, but anyway, so yeah, 1980, acid rain, which never happened. There is no acid rain. And of course, but we did get new taxes, all kinds of new laws invoked on this, we've got to figure out a way to get this where it doesn't happen. So that's going to cost money. Well, 10 years rolls by, no acid rain, everything's just fine. So then in the 1990s, and I remember this one too, the ozone layer. They claimed that somebody went over into the Antarctic or the North Pole or somewhere, and there's a very small area the size of I don't know what they called it. It might have been the size of a car or the size of a football field, that the ozone is completely gone. That's what they claimed. It's missing. The ozone layer is disintegrating right before our eyes. Now, you can't see it. You can't feel it. How on earth they're supposedly even, measuring any of this, I don't know. Of course, nobody else does either. Something you can't verify because it's fake. And so ozone is going away. Well, what's causing it? Well, CO2 and different things in sprays. So they said spraying deodorant, your deodorant is depleting the ozone. And then they came out with my favorite. They said, because I've done heating and air for a living, right? And this was in a heating and air magazine at a heating and air company one time on the desk. It's talking about the ozone. And back then it said that if you release refrigerant into the air, it will destroy the ozone, of course. So that's why they're trying to ban all refrigerants. They're doing that right now. They're trying to get rid of all normal refrigerants and create refrigerants that are highly explosive and toxic. Because they say it's good for the ozone. Now it's bad for you. Okay, we don't care if it kills you because you're carbon and you need to die. But we do care if it destroys the ozone. So anyway, this magazine actually said that if you took every air conditioner in the United States of America and released all of the refrigerant at once, it said there is less CO2 in that refrigerant from every air conditioner in the whole entire United States of America. There is less than one rocket launch. Okay? They're saying that a rocket launch, all that smoke and stuff you see, puts out more CO2 than every single air conditioner in the United States of America, spewing all of the refrigerant in them out at the same time. But as a heat and air guy, they want you to, you can barely, if there's a little, they're like, oh, now you release any more than that, that's a $10,000 fine because of the ozone. It's like, well, what about all the rockets going up? I mean, isn't Elon and NASA and SpaceX, and now we've got the other one, Blue Origin, aren't they just shooting up rockets literally left and right every single day? Yeah. Do you not concerned with that? With that O2 there? No, absolutely not. Do it. But you as the regular guy, don't you run an air conditioner because it could leak. And it might leak out a couple of ounces of gas, and that could do something. But, what? So another fake hoax, and it's just a way for them to tax and make money. And so now they're pushing all kinds of new refrigerants, so it's forcing all these companies to change refrigerants, which is costing probably billions. And then as the homeowner, if a guy comes out to put your air conditioner in, well, see, your old air conditioner can hardly be fixed anymore because it's the old refrigerant. Now we have to put the new refrigerant in. It's called 454B. And of course, it's highly flammable. It's like liquid propane. So now we have to have sensors in your furnace that detects refrigerant leaks because it could get into your house and blow you up because some of these units have got 6, 8, 10 pounds of gas in them. And of course, they always seem to leak, right? But again, hey, do you think they care if it leaks into your kitchen and blows you up? No, they could care less. But that's what it is. That was in the 90s, ozone layer. And so they were talking about refrigerant back then, and so they've implemented the refrigerant stuff now. But guess what? The ozone layer hasn't changed. They just dropped it. No more mention of the ozone layer. In fact, what they did in another 10 years, when obviously nothing changed, of course, they claim this ozone layer is protecting you from sun and everything. And so you walk out in the sun, you'll get horribly burned and all this stuff because there's no ozone layer. What really that is the sun is actually beneficial to you. You need sunlight. It creates vitamin D. It actually helps you. So they want you out of the sun as much as possible because they know it will make you feel better. It will make your body produce vitamins. So they're like, don't go in the sun. Don't you dare go in that sun. You see? So everything that's good for you, they don't want you to have. So they keep making up hoaxes. So, ozone layer, hoax. Okay. Here comes the 2000s, early 2000s. Now the ice cap is going to melt within 10 years. Before, we were going to have an ice age. But now the ice cap is melting. And so you've got Al Gore and all these people saying that thing is going to be gone in 5 to 7 years. It's going to be gone. It's melting. All these polar bears are starving to death because the ice is melting. All fake, all a hoax. The water levels are going to rise and flood out the United States of America because of all the melting ice. A fake hoax. Okay, number one, spoiler alert, it never melted. And even if some melts and some comes back, it's like, see, we took a picture and there's some missing off that mountain over there. Okay, well, the next year it's full of snow again. It's like, wow, you mean snow and ice melts and then refreezes and comes back and forth? Yeah. Even where it snows a lot. Is that anything new? No. In fact, it has to do with these ice caps melting. I remember I watched a big, thing on it, where they sent this big ship up there to investigate, to document the ice caps melting and how polar bears are starving and just, all kinds of nonsense. And it literally got up there and got stuck in the ice. Trapped. And they had to send an icebreaker up there to get it out. But, hey, we went into an ice field and now we're buried up in the ice. But the ice is melting. It's melting. It's going to flood the earth. It's going to flood the earth. But guess what? Didn't flood the earth. In fact, the same people telling you this stuff are buying property at sea level. Let that sink in. These same clowns, these same devils and liars, the hoaxsters, okay, they will tell you that the ocean is going to rise and flood. And so then you move, right? Or if you don't, they burn your house down like they did over there in California and in Hawaii. They just burn it down. And then they say, no, you don't get a permit. So they won't let you build back. And then they come in and then they build. They build a skyscraper or a mansion or a hotel. The same people that said the ocean is rising, they want their stuff right on the beach because that's where all the money is. You notice they don't seem too concerned when they're building something about the oceans rising, are they? Of course they're not. Do you want to know why? It's because it's a hoax, and they know it. They're getting money from taxes and all kinds of stuff to keep putting out these lies, this is just one of the many. But see, they're trying, first it was COVID, and next it's going to be climate. They had lockdowns for COVID, and they're fixing to start having lockdowns for climate. They're already claiming people are dying from climate change. If you can imagine that. This is how far. So see, we've been doing this every 10 years, but we're getting even worse now. So ice cap's going to melt 10 years. It didn't melt. It's still there. In fact, the rock over there, right there at sea level, like that was put in there in the 1600s or whatever, it's still setting in the same place at sea level. The water hasn't went up an inch. It hasn't went down an inch. You can look at the island, underneath the Statue of Liberty from X amount of 100 years ago. The water hasn't went up an inch. It hasn't went down an inch. There is no water rising. Okay? Of course, these pseudoscientists claim that we're on a ball of water in outer space. And so if this ice melts, it gets more water. which is a fake lie. Really, it's an enclosed system, enclosed in a firmament, just like the Bible says, and everything is equal. It's an equal pressure. You see, so the water can't rise without increasing air pressure, and God has it designed where the air pressure keeps the water it's not rising. Okay? It's not rising. But let's pretend for a second that it was. Let's pretend. Okay? Here's what I want you to do at home experiment. Take you a glass and fill it to the brim with ice. Okay? And then take your favorite drink. It doesn't matter if it's water. It doesn't matter if it's soda pop. It can be Dr. Pepper, whatever you want. And you fill it up to the top where it's not running over, right? So now you have a container full of ice and liquid. So now what happens when the ice melts? Does it overflow? No. It just waters down what's there. Because, see, the ice is already taking up mass. It's the same amount when it melts. It doesn't create more. It's the same amount. Okay? So it doesn't go any higher. It doesn't spill over. It's all part of the system. So if you have a bunch of ice in water and they're like, oh, that ice is going to melt and the water is going to rise. No, it won't. That ice is already displacing the water. It's at its level. So when the ice melts, you just have water. It doesn't rise because it's the same amount of water that it was of ice. Hey, yeah. A little bit of ice melts, we're gonna have problems. Okay? But we don't. So that was in the 2000. Of course, we did get more taxes, all kinds of new laws, you know. So now here we are in 2025. Guess what it is now? CO2. Now we're back to CO2. Carbon. So now we've changed it to carbon footprint. That we don't have an ice melting and we don't have ice building. And we see, because you can prove that wrong, right? If there's no ice building, you can say, look, there's no ice building. So now we just say climate change. That can mean anything. That can mean it can get cold, or it can get hot, or it can rain too much, or it can snow too much. It covers everything. It's a very vague. So now, climate change. And what we need to do about it, the problem is carbon. Carbon is causing it all. And so now they've got it down to where they're like, each person has what you call a carbon footprint. And you've got all these big companies now saying they want to be at carbon zero. Carbon zero somehow. Now, if you listen to the deal Trump said the other day, you know, he said over there in the UK or something, they've supposedly brought theirs down by like 34%, their carbon footprint, if that's even a real thing. He said, but overall, over the whole entire earth, it's went up 54%. So even though they've reduced, its overall went up. You want to know why? Well, because number one, it's a fake hoax. But the other thing is, you can't get rid of it because we are carbon. Okay, carbon dioxide, is absorbed by trees. That's what trees and plants breathe in. We exhale it and they inhale it. Pretty good design, right? That's why God did it that way. So the more carbon dioxide that a tree or a plant gets, the more they grow. So we need oxygen and they need carbon dioxide. We exhale carbon dioxide and they produce oxygen. See, it's a symbiotic thing. It works together. That's the way God designed it. That's why if you look at the veins and everything of somebody's lungs, it looks exactly like the tree, the roots and branches of a tree. Everything's the same. God designed it that way. Okay, but hey, these atheists and these pseudoscientists, they don't believe that. Or even if they did, they don't care. They're in it for the money. This is a money grab thing. So now what we have is we have countries over there like UK, they're saying that they've already done a test to see how much carbon you can put out or you can take in. And I'm going to put the picture up here. And of course, if you can't see this because you're listening to a regular podcast, I'm going to read it to you. But this is a guy over there at the UK, Australian Senator Malcolm Roberts. He says the UK has just concluded a trial of personal carbon dioxide allowance in order for you to meet net zero goals. Okay? Think about this for a second. They're going to put an allowance on you personally on how much carbon dioxide you can produce. Keep in mind, every breath you take, when you exhale, you're exhaling carbon dioxide. So they want you to quit putting out carbon dioxide, so guess what that means? You're going to have to be dead, right? That's the only sure way to get you to stop. You're not going to, you've got to stop breathing, man. Or like Biden says, come on, man. Come on, man. Come on, man. Come on, man. Quit breathing. Come on, man. You're burning us up with your breathing, man. Stop breathing. That's all you got to do. Okay. Your daily carbon dioxide allowance would be enough to buy 25 grams of red meat or one mouthful. I'm serious. This is what it says. Okay. Not only that, the World Economic Forum, which are devils, has hosted speakers for calling for this system to include carbon dioxide credit trading. So what you're going to get is you're going to get credits on how much you can breathe and eat. Okay? And you can trade these credits so rich people can live their lives exactly as they do right now, and poor people can skimp on food, clothing, travel, electricity, and entertainment. And by doing that, you'll build up some credits, okay? Carbon dioxide credits. And then you can sell your SX, I can't speak. You can sell the remainder of your credits, the excess, to rich people. You can sell them and say, look, hey, I'm poor and I get so many credits for chewing beef, so I'm not going to eat any beef. I get so many credits for eating my meal today. I'm going to skip my meal. And I get so many credits for my air conditioning. I think I'll just sit here hot and I won't drive my car because I'm poor and I'm this, and I'm building up these credits, these imaginary credits. But then somebody that's rich says, hey, why don't you sell me your credits for a few dollars? That way I can take a trip around the world. So the poor people sell their credits to the rich people, I'm sure for what, nothing? how much are you possibly going to get for your carbon dioxide credits? But that's what they're doing now. They're already trying to do that in Europe. Australia. Can you imagine when that gets here? You can't eat. You can't run your air conditioner. You can't do anything. That's what I'm saying. Is first it was a COVID deal, and now it's a climate deal. And that's all they talk about now. Climate. You've got to do it. In fact, we've got nuts, lunatics like Bill Gates over here. Do you know what his solution is? Cut down all the trees and bury them. That's his solution. And the guy hasn't been arrested yet. They should have already arrested the guy for all the laws and stuff he violated in all these other countries with all these other vaccines that he's created that have killed millions of people. But no, he's still around. He's setting up at the White House visiting Trump, talking about cutting and slashing all the trees. Now, any fool will tell you that the trees absorb the carbon monoxide and they produce oxygen. So why would you want to cut down the trees? If you really had a carbon monoxide problem, you would want more trees, not less. But hey, Bill Gates said cut all the trees down and bury them. That's his. You can't burn them because that would create carbon. So that's why he wants you to bury them. Because somebody might say, oh, you cut these trees down? Well, we need to burn this, for wood, firewood to keep warm. Oh, no, you're not going to burn it. That creates carbon. That creates carbon monoxide, carbon dioxide. Dioxide, not monoxide. So bury them. Get a big bulldozer out there burning up tons of diesel fuel, digging holes, burying and slashing and cutting trees. Just completely decimate the forest. That's what he wants to do. That's his grand idea. Along with kill all the cows. Kill them, because they produce methane, which could do something to the ozone layer, could do something with carbon, because every living thing on this earth produces some type of methane. Okay, it's a byproduct of living. Carbon dioxide, okay? So now he's come up with another one. Shoot the cows full of a bunch of shots. Give them a whole bunch of shots that somehow keeps them from, passing gas. That's their ideas. Fill them up full of chemicals. So a natural process that God created, we're going to put a bunch of chemicals in them to try to stop it, and then we're going to cut all the trees down, and we're going to bury them. That's how we're going to fight it. Oh, and did we mention we're going to start giving you credits? So just for living, every breath you take, I'm sure they're going to figure that out. You produce so much carbon dioxide. So, and this is this and this. So this is all you can do. This many 100 credits. So just living takes away probably half of them, because every breath you take takes off your number. See? Knowing them, they're going to try to count your breaths. So if you're like, well, you just use some more. So that comes right off your number. Looks like you're going to have to sell something. You're going to have to sell this. You're going to have to sell your car. You can't eat for 3 days now to resupply your credits. See? You talk about devilish, but here we are. Here we are today. In fact, I've got another picture here. If this isn't, okay, they've even got the Pope in on it now, okay? The Pope is in on it. Here's a picture here. And in case you can't see this, this is a picture of Pope Leo, our newest wonderful, trad cat Pope, right? So we've got the Catholic Pope out there. There he is, standing in a room with a bunch of people with a giant cut-up block of ice. And he has his little Catholic prayer book in one hand, and he has his hand on the other side of him is on the block of ice like this. And what is he doing? He's blessing the block of ice in the name of fighting climate change. The Pope. So I can only imagine, because he's doing this silently with his hands out on a piece of ice, saying, "Oh, ice, don't become an ice age. Ice, don't melt. I'm melting." What are we doing here? So they've got the Pope in on the climate change scam. Of course, now he's a devil. They've got the upside down crosses. They've got the whole 9 yards. They wear the Dagon fish hats to worship. They've got Jesus as a skeleton bleeding to death up on a little cross. Jesus is not on a cross. He's on his throne in heaven, but not to a Catholic. So we've got the Pope now in on the climate change hoax, blessing ice. That's where we're at. That's where we're at today. I mean, at least back in the 60s, or 70s or 80s, I remember the acid rain. They're like, acid rain, it's going to melt your skin. And people are still out there in the rain. But now they're actually going to try to pass laws to limit your carbon dioxide. So I guess you won't be able to breathe anymore. Soon it will be, how dare you take a breath? I guess it'll be like that old song, every breath you take, every move you make, I'll be watching you. I'm sure that's what it's going to be. They're trying to get you to monitor. They want to monitor everything. And they're literally going to monitor your carbon dioxide. And that's where we're at today, folks. And why these people have not been arrested or put in prison yet, I don't know. How Bill Gates and these other clowns are up there still talking about it, trying to get it done, and sneaking stuff in grocery stores, sneaking medicines and foods and not telling anybody. But we've still got it. We've got President Trump, but we still have it. Okay. We've supposedly going to see all kinds of arrests and all kinds of stuff. Ain't seen nothing yet. Ain't seen nothing yet. Have we? Yeah. Are we ever? You tell me. I mean, I've heard a lot of things, but I've just not seen anything. Not seen any action. The same people are doing the same stuff, the same crimes. Completely scot-free, no repercussions. Do whatever you want. In fact, some of them are still getting invited to the White House to talk to Trump. They should be in prison, but they're not. You know, just like Pfizer. You know, they should be somebody should be jailed for all the crimes they've committed, all the lies and all the people that have died. No. Let's give them more money. So they were over there the other day at the White House and got like billions of dollars of money that Trump's given them, which is a free pass to do whatever they want. Oh, they're supposedly going to lower drug prices, lower prices that should have been, by 600 and 700%. That shows you how much they're marked up. So they're going to lower these things by 600% in some cases. But of course, he's given them billions of dollars. Billions. And then everything that they've done up to this point, all the deaths and people suffering and everything, don't worry about all that. We'll just wipe that slate clean. Just keep doing what you're doing. And here's a couple of billion, here's a 30 billion or 60 billion. Do whatever you want. So, yeah. So I guess those guys, they're going to be the ones wanting to buy up the credits, right? So they can travel all over Europe and go to castles and live in castles and mansions and you name it. Just like the Al Gore deal. He has several mansions. You better not travel. You better turn that air conditioner off because of climate. And then he has a mansion over there. I think they said that the electric bill in usage on that mansion is 200 times what any normal person's electric bill is. And this is every month. 200 times. But that's okay. Hey, 200 times. So, if your electric bill's $200 a month, what does that mean? His is $4,000? That's how much more that's just the waste. They have air conditioners, heaters, furnaces, indoor pools, indoor hot tubs, waiters, waitresses, servants, you name it. Doesn't matter. I'm sure there's indoor movie theater, indoor bowling, everything. But you need to shut your air conditioner off. In fact, a lot of these guys, I saw it already, depending if you sign up with these different co-ops and they'll give you a thermostat, they will throttle that thing back. They'll say, you go to turn your air conditioner down to like 65 because it's 100 degrees in your house. It's like, no, it won't go below 80 for 4 hours. They're controlling it. You're paying for it. They're controlling it. But guys like, do you think Al Gore's, do you think his thermostats are being throttled back? Absolutely not. And that's just in one of his mansions. You think Barack Obama's thermostat's getting throttled back in his mansion in Hawaii? Of course not. The mansion on the beach in Hawaii that supposedly the beach is going to be flooded in a couple of years, but they don't seem to have a problem building a multi-million, $20, $30, $40 million mansion right on the beach where it's going to flood. Makes you wonder. Do you think they might know something we don't know? Oh, they think they do. And of course, there's a lot of people out there that believe it. They think the ocean's rising right now. You've seen them. They're at AOC meetings claiming we need to eat babies. We need to eat dead people because of climate change. They want us to eat babies, eat dead people, stop driving, stop flying, stop breathing. Don't eat any meat. Don't do anything. Now, they can do everything. They can have mansions, jets, skyscrapers, you name it. But you can't. I can't. I'm supposed to do nothing. And now, of course, over there, not here, thank God, yet, now it's credits. Credits on what you're breathing. Credits on what you're doing. So it's crazy, folks. It's absolutely crazy. But I just, I pray that the rapture happens pretty soon. That blessed hope comes along, because the only way we're going to get out of this is Jesus Christ. These devils, well, the devil's running the world right now. The earth. He's running the earth. All these guys are either devils or being controlled by the devil. Okay, that's what they are, devils. And they want you dead, and they're going to get you that way. Sooner or later, they're going to get you that way. Whether it's food or lack of food, or air or lack of air, it's going to be something. Water, lack of water, they're going to get you. So our only hope is to have Christ come back and put an end to all this junk. He's not going to put up with it. He's going to say, you're done. Now that's going to be a glorious day right there for us, for Christians. If you're not a Christian, well, it's going to be a really bad day for you. And I mean bad day. So you might want to think about that. Okay, you might want to think about salvation in Jesus Christ before it's too late. Anyway, I'm going to let you go on that note. I guess that's it. Again, hey, if you're listening to this on Spotify, please like it. If you're listening to it on YouTube, please subscribe or share it or whatever, because I guess I'm shadow banned on there because, you know, I've been on YouTube for many, many, many years and got a whole bunch of videos and have 200 people, 100 and some odd people. I mean, nobody even knows it's there. So anyway, if you can, like it, share it, whatever. Check out the website. I do have some free stickers I'm giving away. Click the link on it. It's Flat Bro, or I think it's on Truth Seekers as well, or both. And go check out the TrutherCon. There's going to be a lot of people there, people you may listen to. I'm going to be there as well. So check that out. Let me know what you think. Yeah, if you want to send me an email or anything like that, just let me know. But other than that, thanks again for listening, and I hope this helped you. Until we meet again, God bless you.